Hi there. This is Her Intentional Reset, a podcast for women in midlife curious about whether the career they chose 20 years ago still fits. Hear from women who have made pivots big and small, discuss the practical realities, the trade-offs, and whether the change was worth it. I'm your host, Molly Wipperfurth, and if you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you found us. And find us in between episodes on Instagram and Facebook at herintentionalreset.co, that's .co, for guests behind the scenes and what's coming next. Now, let's get into today's conversation. Meet Carrie Fabris, founder, Career Frame, and author of All In, located in Dallas, Texas. After more than 20 years climbing the ladder at companies like Google, Travelocity, Sabre, and multiple startups, Carrie found herself raising 2 young kids and staring down a pivotal question. If I could do absolutely anything, what would it be? The answer led her to launch Career Frame, a coaching and consulting firm that now partners with companies like Axios, Appfolio, Mouser Electronics, and Boingo Wireless to help executives and teams unlock their full potential. Whether she's sharing lessons from her book, All In, a working mom's unapologetic quest for a juicy life, which helps women see they don't need to choose between ambition and motherhood, or unpacking the Frame It method and return on energy frameworks, Carrie brings humor, real-world stories, and a clarity that leaves audiences thinking differently about leadership, ambition, and what it truly means to thrive. I'm excited for you to meet Carrie. This is Her Intentional Reset. Hi, Carrie.
Hey, Molly.
So excited to have you on. Let's jump right in and tell us how you started Career Frame. What were you doing before, and how did you decide that Career Frame was the next right step for you?
Yeah, thanks for that question. So after 20 plus years in corporate at Travelocity, Google, well, some of the other places that we've already discussed in my intro, I was tired. I had been the sole breadwinner for a bit while my husband launched his business. And when he got Series A, I was like, oh my gosh, thank goodness you take the financial baton for a second. I'm going to step out and be with the kids. And that only lasted 6 months. I love my babies. They're amazing. They were 1 and 3 at the time. But it was in that pause that I realized I really love having a career. But now I had this unique opportunity to ask myself if I could do anything I wanted, what would it be? And I had the amazing opportunity of being in leadership when I was at Google and when I was at Sabre. And I missed that. I missed impacting in a positive way other people. And so I said, there's a lot of people that are in leadership that might not know what they're doing. They may not be great at it. They were great at the technical skill, but leading people is a completely different skill. So I think I can help. And so I decided to start going on that adventure, finding Gallup's Clifton Strengths as a framework. I wanted to have some kind of foundational framework that I could use in coaching sessions, and just started putting myself out there, and it grew and grew and grew. And here we are 10 years later. Still coaching executives and working with teams and their dynamics and helping them be strengths-based and emotionally intelligent and adaptive leaders, and having a lot of fun doing it.
Yes, I was really excited to have you on when I saw that you were certified in Clifton Strengths. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on how we can incorporate that not only in work, but also for working moms in our home life as well. So you launched Career Frame in 2016. Then what happened?
Yeah. So when I look back, I was piddling at best. I discovered along the way that there was a little bit of ego involved, thinking, oh, I've got this great network. I'll just talk to my network and they'll all want to hire me. That's not really what happened. I was working with this one company for quite a bit as kind of like their internal coach, and they were my only client. But when that kind of abruptly came to an end, cash flow challenges, leadership changes, consultants, the first one to go thing, I was at the time pouring most of my heart and soul into my son, who is a neurodivergent kid, and we wanted to get him in the right school, which involved selling a house, moving into a new neighborhood, all the things. And I did not have energy to give to both. And so I ended up kind of reluctantly going back to corporate for 2 years. And it's why they say hindsight is 2020. when I got through that journey of going back to corporate for 2 years, I realized it was absolutely a must of a stepping stone that I had to step on to get to where I am today. I needed to go back into that environment, go all in, and then very quickly realize this is not what I want to be putting my all into. So did a ton of work on myself. 2019 was my transformational year and got the strength and courage and resilience to jump back into career frame full time. And that's when things really took off.
So back to 2019, you said that you were doing the work. Can we dig a little bit deeper into that? Because anyone else listening right now, we may be sitting where you were back in 2018, where we're sitting in a situation where we know that this is maybe not where we want to be in, but we don't know what to do next. So what was some of the work that you were doing in 2019?
Before I ask that, I would say that yes, self included, when you feel something's not right, you're not aligned with where you are, you feel trapped, you feel stuck, the responsibility of life is heavy, and you don't know what to do. And so, in those moments, and how I chose the path that I went on was I had to just really listen to me. Again, that question, if I could do anything, what would it be? And also, I do think that life, universe, source, God, whatever you believe in, put stuff in front of you. You just have to see it. And for example, I hired a coach who I happened to sit next to at an exclusive travel leadership retreat in Park City, Utah. And when I sat next to her, we started talking, there was like a little ping in my heart and in my mind. It was like, talk more to her and see what she can do for you. Her name's Molly Carroll. She's amazing. She's got an incredible coaching program called Cracking Open. And so I hired her. Did not have the money to do it at all. But then it's one of those things that when I hired her, 6 weeks later, she handed me a lead and I got the deal and it paid for my entire year working with Molly. Then my husband said, hey, you should connect with this guy, George. He's a friend of mine. He works for Tony Robbins. And I'm like, Tony Robbins? I don't want to do anything with Tony Robbins. And so I had a call with George and he's like, well, he's coming to Dallas. I live in Dallas. And I was like, okay. He's like, I can get you a ticket. I'm like, okay, why would I not do that? So then it was also about being open to things that were coming into my life and basically going, maybe I'm supposed to go do a Tony Robbins event. So went and did Tony Robbins. Totally changed my life. Drank the Kool-Aid, did mastery, did Date with Destiny, life mastery, wealth mastery, did it all. Dramatically changed my life. Everything I outlined and worked through at Date with Destiny that I thought would take me 5 years to do, took me 18 months to do. Read a ton. I became a member of the 5 a.m. club. I would wake up, read, and it was all like high-performing habits, self-development. I don't even want to say self-help, but if that's what you call it, that's great too. But just how can I develop myself? How can I grow? I went into growth mode of, I know that I'm not aligned with where I'm at. I know that I want to be better. I want to be in a better position. And the first time I did this stuff, it didn't work. So I got to try something new. And again, be open, be curious, be a seeker of knowledge, and just fed my brain and did all of those things. And then from a business perspective, get more certifications. Clifton Strengths. What about emotional intelligence? What about situational leadership? I'm a certified ICF coach. Like all of these things of just going through and doing the work and showing myself that I know this stuff and I'm good at this stuff and I can help people with this stuff. So I'm in a beautiful place right now, Molly. I just got back from a 7-day retreat with Joe Dispenza, learning about meditation and really understanding that meditation is not woo-woo. It's just like with energy. Energy is not woo-woo. It's strategic. And working through lack and scarcity and fear and how that literally keeps you in the same spot. And so I'm always leaning into myself to grow, to be better, not only for myself, but then also to bring this to my clients and to give them things to think about, give them things to noodle over and, put it through their system. And does this resonate with you? And if so, go try something. If not, go find something else that does. I will always invest in myself. I invest in myself personally and professionally. I'm in 3 executive networking groups for Career Frame. And so, it's just about putting yourself out there, if you're by yourself, if you're isolating, you're not really growing. And the minute we stop growing, we start dying. I will always be a seeker of growth.
Yes. And doesn't it feel so much better when you're doing something about it instead of just spiraling with those feelings of anxiety or just that discomfort, actually taking the steps to do something about it?
Well, it does. And it's also incredibly rewarding when you get to the other side. You do have to put your mask on first before assisting others, or you're half-assed taking care of everybody else. So it's really pouring into you so that you can radiate that to everybody else. And that's one of my goals to do all the time, is just what can I radiate to you energetically, enthusiastically, from a place of encouragement, while also understanding things can feel really hard and heavy. You sit in that for about 5 seconds. Then it's, what are we going to do about it? Don't stay there. That doesn't help you.
Yes. And on that, in your book, All In, A Working Mom's Unapologetic Quest for a Juicy Life, you do start with that story about learning to put on your own mask first. And we'll make sure that we link your book in our show notes. So then bring us back to 2020. You did all of the work to then relaunch Career Frame. What had to be true for you to be able to say, I did the work, so now I can move on?
Yeah. So I talk about this scene in the book. So we all know what happened in 2020. I relaunched and jumped back into Career Frame, and then COVID hit. And what I needed to go through was I had to realize that fear was only going to get louder because it was trying to get my attention. And the more I ignored that resistance, the longer it was going to take me to get to where I am now. And so once I decided to go, wait a second, fear, you're really annoying me and pissing me off. What do you want? I had to literally just pause and go, what do you want? Mm-hmm. And I realized it was like, I want you to leap towards where you're supposed to be. Stop making excuses, stop settling, just stop and leap. And so when I did, there was a net that caught me, like when someone's doing a trapeze and they fall and then they kind of slightly bounce up a little bit before they fall. So it was like I leapt, I fell, and then I bounced up and just kept going, kept soaring. And so fear rarely comes around anymore. When it does, I'm like, well, hello, old friend. What do you need? What do you want this time? What are you trying to teach me? And so that was the big shift in order to get to the next level and to keep going. And then again, just all of this amazingness followed. Even in COVID, I was like, just keep going. One foot in front of the other, keep going. There were tests. Someone called me, we've got this great senior vice president position, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, because even when I jumped back, I still was not anywhere near back to my corporate salary. And so then that was just the resilience and the courage to keep going, to keep having conversations, to reach out to people, to ask for introductions, things like that. And then the money started coming, and then it just kept coming. People will also often ask me, since my book's called All In, what does all in mean? And I'm like, what does it mean to you? Mm-hmm. Allow yourself to determine and define what that is for you, and then do it.
What I love about your story is that it's universal, that fear is different for all of us, whether it be that scarcity and financial fear or ego tied or something else altogether. But you faced that fear and did the work to be like, okay, why am I feeling this way? And what do I really want to do?
This is my perspective on fear. A lot of people will talk about fear is from the brain and it's trying to keep you safe. My fear was like, I don't want to keep you safe because what I'm actually trying to tell you is safety is over here. Mm-hmm. Safety is not where you are. You're crying every day. You're miserable. You love your team. You love your boss, but you're miserable. Yeah. And so I am trying to keep you safe over here, but you've got to leap over here. So I'm just going to get really loud and annoying until you do. And so, yeah, it was a pretty powerful, pivotal moment in my journey.
You said that you had this 5-year goal that you were able to achieve in 18 months. For listeners, can you explain what your 5-year goal was?
My 5-year goal was a revenue goal because even though I started doing the Tony work, I have suffered from lack and scarcity mindset. From my trauma as a child, how I was raised and programmed from the people around me that raised me. So back then, it was get the money, get the money, get the money, get the money.
Mm-hmm.
I have evolved towards get the meaning. Sure, I would love the money as well. Who wouldn't? But it's more about the meaning and the impact. Whereas back then it was get the money. So it was a revenue goal. And at the time, it sounded absolutely unachievable and ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
I aimed high. I was like, why not? Let's just put this big fat number out here. And then to find that I hit it and then beyond surpassed it, sliding into 2024. And what's interesting, I'm not sure really what I did differently other than leave the ego behind. The first time I launched a Career Frame, it has 2 chapters and the ego was alive and well, and that's just gross. I mean, we all have an ego. It all rears its head. But then I could recognize it and was like, leave the ego behind. It's about meaning and impact and having authentic connection. And so when that happened, I started attracting clients, and then I did really great work. So then they would refer me to somebody else. I built the business on referrals, which is the biggest compliment I can get.
This episode is brought to you by Her Intentional Resets Pay It Forward sponsorship, supporting independent women-owned businesses. One day I woke up and discovered my love of plants, and they've become a part of my love language. So I was so excited to hear about Roots and Bloom, a mobile plant shop now available in the Twin Cities, founded by Sierra Curtis. Roots and Bloom turns plants into an entire self-care experience, from painting and planting to plant bingo and so much more. Follow Roots and Bloom Studio on Instagram. That's Roots and Bloom _studio on Instagram. It's also going to be linked in our show notes to see where the mobile plant shop is popping up near you. And mention Her Intentional Reset for 20% off any plant purchase, because taking care of yourself is always worth it. Let's transition to what you've actually built at Career Frame. And typically with Career Frame, you're working with senior leaders, senior VP, C-suite executives running teams with a bench. However, your Career Frame and Frame It methodology is still applicable to working moms who want to thrive, whether they're building high-performing teams at work or managing their own energy without burnout. At high level, can you explain to us your Frame It method?
Yeah, so Frame It method is our proprietary method that we have created using the core pillars of Clifton Strengths, emotional intelligence, situational leadership. So I use those certifications that I have, and I've poured this into the pillars of this 5-segment method, if you will. And so FRAME is the acronym. So F is foundation. And this is stuff that we all must do, but especially when we're busy. And let's just pause on the busy for a second. That word in itself is the aura around the word busy is not great. Okay. When we're busy, we don't have time for something, right? To brush off. Oh, it's so great to see you. Oh, let's go to lunch. Oh, I would love that. I'm so busy, but yes, we'll do it. It never happens. I want to encourage people to kind of watch the busy and how busy we are. Okay. But let's just go with this. So we're so busy that we often are not pausing to check in with the human that is doing all of this stuff. So in the foundation piece of Frame It, we pause and we're like, how are you physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually? Spiritually in this case means meaning, purpose, or whatever, however you want to define it. And we have, for all 5 of these sections, we have a proprietary assessment, but also you will take the Clifton Strengths assessment, you'll take the EQ assessment, you'll do adaptive leadership, things like that. And so we spend a lot of time, again, just the foundation. How is the person who is showing up to do this work? Because you are radiating something, good or bad, you're radiating it. We're just guiding the person to take their own inventory. Are you working out? Are you sleeping? Are you eating well? How's your mental state? How are your emotions? Do you have a lot of pressure? Blah, 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 blah. So that's where we start. Then we move into R, which is responsibility relationships. So again, let's take inventory. Here's an assessment so you can see where you are with this. But then also at work, let's talk about the people that are on your team that report to you, your peers. What is your relationship with these people and your direct reports? Not only what are your responsibilities, but what are you delegating to your people? Are you that leader who's trying to do it all and you're wondering why you're fried and burned out? Then we go into A, which is adaptability. So how adaptable are you? And also how accountable are you? Are you leading everybody one size fits all? Or are you actually adapting and you're leading each person how they need to be led so you as the leader can get the most from them? And bringing it back to working moms, think about kids. I've been asked this too, like, how do you take what you do at work and bring it to home? And I'm like, I'm an adaptive parent. I have a neurodivergent child and I have a talented and gifted child, like on complete opposites of the spectrum here. And so I lead and parent them very differently. And so you can bring those adaptive leadership skills into the house. And some of us, we feel like our spouses are also a child. So it's there too, not speaking from experience. And so then we go into N, which is mindset. And so we walk the person through several different types of mindset and motivation and how they are motivated, how they are motivating the people around them. Again, if you're a working mom, how are you motivating your children? And to those of us that have teenagers, the struggle is real. And back at work, how are we motivating our people? Because everyone is motivated differently. So then it's also, what mindset are you carrying in these 4 categories? What mindset are your people having in these 4 categories? And then we'll work towards starting to execute and integrate all of this into the team dynamic that you have. How do we execute all of this stuff and make it to where it is now common language so you as the leader and the team will elevate to the next level? That's phase 1 of the Frame It method. And this is not something that happens in 30 days. This is an ongoing process of a minimum of 6 to 9 months, because as we are adults, behavior change takes longer. We get very set in our ways. So it's repetitive. We do group stuff, we do individual stuff. And then we talk about, is there a phase 2? Do we want to keep this going? And with the phase 2, that's where we go into strict coaching. And then we start to bring the team in a little bit more with the leader so they can, again, start practicing this stuff ongoing, real time. So now it becomes basically part of their leadership DNA.
It sounds very comprehensive. And another thing that can be applied at home and in the workforce is your ROE framework. Can you explain to everyone what ROE is?
Yeah. ROE is return on energy. So we all understand ROI. And when we're investing in something, we hope we get something back that's higher than what we had originally planned. Same thing with return on energy. It's how much energy you're putting towards something. And can you see the return you might get? It's the same as ROI. You might invest in something and you might not get a return for 10 years, right? Yeah. I use this example a lot with startups when it comes to ROE. Startup entrepreneurs, they're starting a business. Chances are it's going to be several years to build infrastructure, build the company, build it to profitability to where you will sell it. And so the energy you're putting into it, you can see what the return could be. Where this is really helpful is when you're that person who just keeps pouring all of your energy into something and you are seeing no return. This allows you the opportunity to pause and go, why am I doing this? Why am I putting so much energy into this and I'm getting a crappy return? I'm like negative. Now, some of us working moms, we will feel that way because being a mom is the hardest job on the planet. And we go through phases where we're putting all of our heart and soul and all of our energy into our kids. And then it's like, I hate you because I'm hormonal and all the other things. You're like, great, but it's temporary. That's temporary. And you got to look past that temporary phase and go, the return on energy, the ROE on putting my love and attention in this child is setting them up for a thriving future later. At work, when we're putting our energy into a project or initiative, or let's say a person, where we see someone, we're like, I just really want to develop this person. I can see them being bench strength. If you can see it because they've got willingness, you can teach them the ability, then there could be a positive ROE there. If you think they have potential, But if they don't think they have potential or they don't care, your ROE might be negative. You might be putting all of your attention into someone that doesn't want to grow into that role. So therefore, you eliminate, not the person, you
Yes.
eliminate the effort. So just an interesting way to look at where are you putting your energy and what's the return that you're going to get on applying all of the effort, the time, the money, all of the things that are taking your energy away from you.
I love that philosophy and that framework. And it's as simple as just checking in with yourself. Like, how do I feel after this event or after saying yes to this? Am I excited or am I
Yes.
dreading this? And
Yes.
I think it comes back to your frame it methodology when you were talking about the foundation with we're all so busy. If we are all so busy and we don't want to be so busy, then what can you eliminate from your busyness and using that ROE as that assessment of what to eliminate, those activities that you're showing up, you feel obligated that you have to be at, but you're not getting anything out of it and it's just draining your energy. Cut those out of your day if you can. Yes.
Yeah. And I think that something that I just want to share is those of you listening that are telling yourself that you thrive and busy, I don't really know how honest you're being with yourself. And if we are thriving and busy, or, oh God, I'm so uncomfortable to slow down. I don't want to slow down. I wouldn't even know what to do with myself. To me, that's a red flag. That's a red flag of what do you think the reasons are that you're not allowing yourself to pause? What are you afraid to feel? What are you afraid to think? What are you afraid is going to happen? Because there's so much data and information in that answer. And again, it all flows into what you're spending your energy on. And then I get asked all the time about burnout. And I'm like, burnout is because you are not allowing yourself to pause. Stress is not the problem. A lack of stress recovery is the problem. And when you are working out with that weight and you're just lifting, if you don't put that weight down, you will physically hurt yourself. You will blow out your muscle, you will hurt yourself, and now you can't do anything. And it's the same thing with our minds, with our hearts, with everything. You have to pause. That's how you avoid burnout. And the people that are like, oh, I love busy. I love just nonstop. I'm like, no, you don't. No, you don't. You're telling yourself that story. I don't know that I believe you, but you're the one that has to go figure that out. You're the one that's got to answer that question. No?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. When you said that, I was like, I got chills. That's pretty powerful right there.
That's applicable work and home. We have to take care of ourselves in order to take care of everybody else. And it's also watch when you go into victim mode. I'm taking care of everybody else and no one takes care of me. I'm like, my dear, you're the only person who can take care of you. So if you're not taking care of you, please lovingly, I'll hug you along the way. Go look in the mirror. Your podcast, Molly, her intentional reset.
Yeah.
It's not Carrie's intentional reset for you, Molly's intentional reset for you. That's her intentional reset. So you gotta look at the mirror, and we're all in control of this body, this mind, this heart, this soul, this everything. And watch when victim mentality pops up, because that's a mirror opportunity right there. We're all guilty. Again, there's zero shaming in any of this stuff I'm saying. And I'm the kind of person that I don't talk about something I haven't done myself. Like, it's been there, done that, didn't really work out for me. Tried this, felt better.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the purpose of this podcast, is to have that safe platform to realize that we are all in it together. And now we're able to just finally vocalize it so we feel like we're not alone. This is the perfect segue to ask you about your vibe check. So if we are in that woe is me, or I'm doing all of this for everyone else, walk us through the vibe check. What is that?
Yeah. So the vibe check is really tied back to ROE, right? So it's got this thing or this initiative or this challenge or whatever it is, and you want to verify the feelings that you're having around it. A lot of us are analytical. We stay in our head. So it's travel that 12 inches down, get in the heart. I realize that we're not going to really get very far if we don't have brain-heart coherence. And I realized that it wasn't that my heart was not open. It was that my brain was so hypervigilant, it wouldn't communicate with my heart. So I want to share that with your audience, because when we're verifying the feeling, Part of that is also tapping in. If you are someone who is hypervigilant and you're analytical, it's having a quick little chat with your brain and going, hey, what if for a second I like introduced you to my heart and you guys had a cup of coffee and like got to know each other so I could actually know what I'm feeling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So you verify the feeling that you're having towards this thing, this initiative, this challenge, this whatever. Then what is the impact of that feeling? How is that going to impact your life personally, professionally? Then you go into balancing the cost, which is what's the time investment? What's the energy investment? Is there a financial investment? So you're really just looking at this and what am I willing to do and not willing to do? And then from there, you determine if you want to execute on this thing or if you need to eliminate it. A lot of times we're doing things because we think it sounds good. Someone has told us we need to do it. And this is where it's really, what do I want to do with this? Again, let me verify how I'm feeling about this. What's the impact of that feeling? Like, how's that feeling landing? Can I balance the time, the energy? Is there a financial bit? And then do I actually want to do this? Because I've gone through these steps. And eliminating something is doing something. And I've gone through this, and sometimes I'm like, well, there's my answer. It gives you permission to keep going. It gives you permission to stop. If you're just like, I don't really want to do this, then don't.
Yes. You're in control.
Yeah. Now, I realize sometimes that's easier said than done at work. You know, if you're an SVP and your CEO is giving you these marching orders, so to speak, okay, or your leader has told you to do something and now you feel like you got to do it, you can still go through this. Because what happens is if you get to the bottom of this and you're like, this is going to zap my energy, you can either delegate this to your team, create a task force to have it completed. Your leader just wants it done. Now, unless they said, you're the only person that can do this. If you go through this and you're like, no, I'm really not, then you circle back and you go have a conversation as to what you have discovered and why this particular thing, you may not be the best person to lead it, but you'd love to be a part of it. There's ways to have conversation. I mean, it's why I love what I do as far as helping people communicate effectively, playing to their strengths, having that emotional intelligence so you can intelligently speak about something, bringing in emotion when it's strategic. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going walking into your leader's office and crying. And if you cry, that's okay too. You're human. But this is just how do you use your emotions intelligently in order to make sure you're in your zone of genius to drive more productivity, more energy and engagement, more success. And I don't know any leader who wouldn't want somebody to be in that zone.
Yeah.
So it's applicable in almost every scenario.
Absolutely. Dovetailing on what you were talking about, like honing in on your strengths. So you're in your zone of genius. I do want to ask with strength finders, do you focus on your top 5 strengths, or when you see that you are lacking in a
No.
certain area or category, do you try to at least balance that out, or do you disregard that altogether? And for example, I pulled out my strength finders after I saw that you were certified with this, and I dusted it off from 2011.
Okay, you might want to do it again.
And I found out that my 5 main strengths are all in executing and strategic thinking. So I have nothing in influencing. Do I try to build some skills so I have a little bit more balance in influencing, or do I just go all in on strategic thinking and executing?
Yeah. So first of all, you don't have nothing in influencing and relationship building. Okay.
Okay.
So in the Clifton Strengths assessment, which used to be called Strengths Finder, they call it Clifton Strengths now, you get 34 talents. Okay. There are 34 talent themes, which some people are like, wow, that's a lot. I just want to do my Enneagram of 9 numbers and my disc of 4 letters. What I love about Clifton Strengths is it truly does highlight how unique you are. You are uniquely you. And so when you look at your strengths, it is in order of what gives you the most energy to the least energy. So you do all 34 of these talents in the Clifton Strengths world of engagement. Okay. We do all 34 of them. We do them some way more naturally because we're energized by them. They excite us down to those that drain us because it takes about 10 times more energy to do. So everyone is going to have a bottom 5, which are your non-strengths. The goal is to go for mastery in your top 5, even really your top 10, and manage your bottom 5. So I get this question a lot, and it is a great question that you asked. And that is, I wish I was more strategic. And I'm like, awesome. Okay, tell me the reasons. Why is it so important that you're more strategic? Again, does it sound good? Did someone tell you they needed to be strategic? Or do you actually want to be strategic? And what does that really mean to you? So many of us want to do things because of how it sounds or the story we're telling ourselves. So once you know what drains your energy, it's a communication tool. So again, kind of back to the example I just gave a minute ago, you go to someone and you're like, so I know that you wanted me to present to the executive team. I'm actually kind of terrified of speaking. Communications in my bottom 5. Communications my number 1. So this is a hypothetical. Communications in my bottom 5. And I mean, are we sure I'm the right person? Help me understand why me. So then the executives, because you're the master on this topic. So then you're like, okay, so using you as an example, you're like, and I don't know your bottom 5. So again, this is a hypothetical example. You're like, okay. And the thought of standing up and presenting and talking about these executives is scary to me. However, I'm an executing strategic genius. So I'm going to now go into this executive meeting and I am going to simply focus on what I do and what I know and think about. So now you're using your strengths, the things that you were energized about doing, the things you're energized about thinking about, and you're managing the uncomfortable, I've got to go talk about it.
Yep. And stand up and be in front of an audience and focusing on that. You're reframing it to like, okay, what do I actually know?
Yes. So you want to focus on your top talents and you want to manage your bottom talents. And I always encourage people, I'm like, sure, if you want to move one of these non-talents up, that's great. Just be crystal clear as to why. And it's got to be your why. And then just know something else is going to replace it. We're all going to have a bottom 5. All of these assessments are really outstanding in their own way. I never have the same conversation twice. I never have the same workshop twice. I love doing Clifton Strengths workshops and working with the team dynamics and helping teams and the leader of that team have these ahas of how you have this talent, you have that talent. If you all got together, oh my gosh, I love it so much.
Yes, I think Clifton Strengths is great for everyone, and especially working moms that may be thinking like, what do I want to do next? Me dusting off my 2011 Clifton Strengths, I was reminded of, oh, what actually invigorates me. And what do you know?
Yeah,
Actually, putting together this podcast has been one of the most invigorating things that I've done in a really long time. And it aligns with my top 5 strengths.
fantastic.
On the flip side, knowing that I've no influencing, or that not no influencing, but that they literally are like my bottom 5.
Yeah.
I am looking for a partner, and that's where I already know, okay, I want a partner that can help balance what I bring. Thank you for just that really comprehensive overview on career frame and the proprietary different methodologies that you've incorporated. I really see how it's applicable to not only your senior VPs, but also working moms day-to-day basis as well. Let's transition to some practical considerations. So back to Carrie, the entrepreneur that started Career Frame.
Mm-hmm.
You had 20 years of corporate experience already. You had those leadership skills already. What did you have to learn when you were launching your business?
So again, the getting over ego was a big one from just a personality perspective. And then I also had to learn that if I was not willing to make the coffee per se, it wasn't going to get made. If I was not willing to reach out to people and have the conversations, it wasn't going to happen. Also, it took me failing, and I say I failed awesomely. I wouldn't be here this time if I hadn't failed. I would say I learned most the second time, which was how about we just get basic foundation for a business? Get a Zoom account, get some insurance, like basic business stuff, but also tapping into courage, resilience, keep going, but check the ego at the door was a big one.
Yep, yep. Talking a little bit about financial considerations, as an entrepreneur, how were you paying yourself initially versus how you may pay yourself now that you're established 10 years out?
Yeah, at a legal tactical level, when you establish a business, you decide what type of business. I'm set up as a specific type of business where I have to pay myself a salary, which sometimes can be stressful because that means the income needs to be there in order to get a salary. So I pay myself a salary. In the very beginning, my pricing was quite different because I looked through the lens of what would I pay someone with my experience? And so in the very beginning of determining, I'm going to be a coach, like a lot of people just say, I'm going to be a coach, right? And I had Clifton Strengths experience. That was it at the time. We just had our 10-year anniversary of Career Frame last week. And so 10 years ago, charging hourly and a small hourly fee. And then as my experience grew, as my credentials grew, as the client changed, back in the day, I did work with a handful of moms who needed resume help and LinkedIn profile and stuff like that. I don't do that stuff anymore. Now it's all full executive coaching engagement, a lot of facilitation of workshops with teams, speaking, things like that. And so now it's engagement-based pricing. And it's not just here's a couple of sessions. It's over time, because as adults, we need that consistent, repetitive learning in order to change and evolve. I mapped as far as how I paid myself is kind of what I felt good about based on my credentials and my experience and what I would have felt good investing in with somebody else that had the same type of experience.
Yes. You talked about setting rates a little bit. Anything else that we should consider for anyone else that may be stepping into either a consulting role or starting their own business where they're setting an hourly rate?
Yeah, this is certainly my opinion. I would caution the hourly rate because it makes it transactional. I personally, if I hear cost or vendor, you're probably not going to be a good fit for me and vice versa. I want to work with people who invest and they're a partner. And so anyone that wants to know an hourly rate, I'm like, I don't work that way, because guess what? It's not just going to be this session. You're going to email me, you're going to text me, you're going to bat signal me. I'm always here. I'm not just showing up for that 50-minute session once a month, right? I want a partnership with you. I want a relationship with you. So that, again, that's my philosophy. I have come across a lot of my peers and I just want to pull them aside and go, you are not charging near enough. A lot of us underprice ourselves. I was told that about me in the beginning as well. And then there's also the other side, is that sometimes we're overcharging and then we wonder why we're not getting business. But at the same time, I would just encourage you to kind of A/B test it, toss a number out and aim high. And sometimes they'll be like, great. And you'll be like, holy crap, I just got that. Or they'll be like, this was a little rich for me. Can we talk? Now you have data. That's the thing I would recommend the most. I have tossed pricing out and then someone was like, great. And the minute I did it, I was like, ugh, that did not feel good. I do not feel like I am getting there's not an equal value exchange here. And so you'll know when pricing feels good and when it doesn't. And I don't know that anyone has the right answer. Again, trust yourself, listen to yourself, and you'll know if the pricing you're putting out is aligned with you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for that. As we wrap up, I want to ask, what do you think, besides checking your ego, listening to yourself, you've talked a lot about that, are there any other additional strengths that you have inherently brought to the success of Career Frame? And I'm putting words in your mouth of, you seem so joyful in what you're doing as well, too. So any other insight as to you, Carrie, what did you bring to the table that's helped you get to what you have wanted to achieve?
Yeah, my desire for authentic connection with people has really guided me. And through that, really finding such joy in helping other people make impacts themselves. Some people will be like, Carrie, thank you so much. You did. No, I didn't. I didn't do this. I've been the one asking you questions, pulling all of the stuff out of you, but you did this. You made this change. And that is a huge joy to me. So I would just say, I'm a woo in the strengths world, which is winning others over and the social butterfly and the extrovert. And I am a natural communicator and storyteller, and I create dialogue. And I'm just curious about humans, curious about people.
Yeah. And that authenticity and leading with authenticity is what changed the trajectory of your business. So it's
Sure.
great that you were able to be in tune and listen to yourself and trust yourself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. And how we see ourselves is sometimes different than how others see us. And to your earlier point of women, especially undersell our strengths, I want to share with you what your friend Amy Castellanos had to say were your strengths. So, from Amy, I've been friends with Carrie for 4 years, and the only way I can describe her is thoughtfully loving, impressively intelligent, and abundantly generous with everything she has,
Mm.
with her time, her connections, her resources, her heart. Her abundance shows up in the most beautiful, unexpected ways. Some of the most epic international adventures of my life have happened because of her.
That is true.
And one of my favorite pieces of clothing I own, the one that gets me the most compliments every single time I wear it, is something Carrie spotted at an event, bought on the spot, and handed to me because she said it was so me. She physically could not walk away without getting it.
That is, yeah.
That is Carrie. She sees you and then she
Oh,
acts on it.
that's cute.
When Amy was wrestling with one of the hardest career decisions in her life, she said that you didn't push, you didn't rush, you didn't project. And for 2 full years, you held space as her friend, her confidant, and her coach, holding space until she was ready to find her own answers on her own timing. And that kind of patience is rare. Lastly, and underneath all of this is a woman of extraordinary self awareness and curiosity who has done the real inner work. Meditation retreats, expanding consciousness, examining her own thought patterns and beliefs, not as a trend, but as a genuine commitment to growth. When you do all that kind of inner work, you don't just rise, you bring everyone around you with you.
Mm.
Carrie's abundance isn't just what she gives, it's who she is. And the people lucky enough to be in her orbit know exactly what I mean. I'm so lucky she's my friend.
Oh man, that
Yeah.
yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Now I'm gonna
Yeah.
Amy and go, hi, can I get that printed and hang out on my wall?
Yes. What comes up for you when you hear that?
Oh man, some tears come up, that's for sure. I often ask people when I do these workshops, what's a word that people would use to describe you? And it's always interesting what people say. And some of the things that you shared with Amy, I feel and I'm honored that she sees that and she experiences that. And then there's also some things that I'm like, she experiences that and she sees that. You know what I mean? Do I do that? I'm so glad I do that. As she said, like I do pride myself on being very self-aware. I aim to be self-aware. And I love that she sees that. What an amazing reflection from her on how I show up. And so I appreciate that you shared that. I appreciate that you reached out to her and asked that.
Yes. And what I love is I see what you're teaching in career frame is actually how you're showing up in your personal life as well. And it's great to see that you're encompassing everything that you are also teaching.
And like I said, like I won't teach, coach, share, discuss something that I have not gone through. Relatability is really important to me. I want with all my heart for clients, their partners, their client partners to me, that we have relatability, that we're having fun doing this work because it is work. Work doesn't have to be painful and hard all the time. Some of it is because I have learned and I have yet to find that person that can tell me otherwise. And if you're out there, please reach out to me. I've yet to see any path to joy that doesn't go through pain. And so we are doing work on ourselves. We're doing work with our teams. We're having this human experience And we spend most of our time at work. I want
Mhm.
people to have fun with that. I want people to really enjoy their team.
Yes, I love that philosophy, and we need more executive career coach leaders like you that understand that you can show up as your true authentic self, and how do you maximize that and still have a high productive team. All right. So, because we are not all just career women, we're going to transition to our rapid round. Some really quick questions about real life. You ready?
Ready?
For family and kids, do you have any family core values?
We do, actually. And this was a project that we did in 2020. My husband and I went to lunch and we decided what our core values were. I painted them on a giant canvas that hangs in our open kitchen area here at home. And there are values like be honest, do your best, celebrate each other, make smart choices, stay curious. We want our children to be good humans. We want them to make smart decisions, and we're not projecting our belief system onto them. It's form your own belief system that is healthy and serves you, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, we do have those values. And when we painted it, everybody got their painted their handprint, put their handprint on it, signed it, and yeah, it was a fun project.
I love that. We have our family core values, but it's on like Marriott stationery from the hotel that we have on our family bulletin board. So I love the handprint to have some accountability in it. So I love that. Do you have any tech rules in your house?
Yes. So I have an almost 15-year-old and a 13-year-old boy and then girl. And they use technology very differently. My daughter's the one that her iPad is constantly on her. We have, I would say, I feel like it's balanced. We allow them to be on their iPads, to watch YouTube, to all the things. However, it's rarely in their bedrooms. It's usually in the living room or in the kitchen. So I'm kind of listening. We also have the Bark app on their iPads. So it sends us alerts
Mhm.
if there's any sexual content, alcohol, drug abuse, violence. And so we get the Bark alert, and then I can go tap on that and see what video they're watching and talk to them about it. And so those are the guardrails I put around it. So my daughter, she is going to be going into eighth grade. She is probably the only eighth grader who does not have a phone. We gave her an Apple Watch. So when she was out and about, she could call us and be connected to us. So that's kind of how we handle it in our house.
Transitioning to some inspiration. Do you have a favorite book, a favorite movie?
I do. I do. So I am almost 52 years old and I am the biggest Harry Potter fan. As you read in my book,
Uh-huh.
Stuck, with a quote from Dumbledore. I love Harry so much because I relate to him. I lost my mom when I was very young. Life has absolutely been a hero's journey. I love how much he fiercely loves his friends. His friends are his family. That's very much how I feel. I love magic. I love creating magic. I don't love dark magic, which is why I love Harry, not Voldemort. But I love that story so much. I love the hero's journey that is Harry Potter. There's so many lessons about humanity and navigating your heart in that series, I would say. I went to the Wizarding World outside London. I've been there twice. And the first time I went, it was in 2016. And I had just the best day on earth by myself. A 40 something year old mom by herself wearing a cloak. It was awesome.
I love that visual. Yes.
Well, and also just the childlike piece of it. There is fun in remembering our inner child and
Yes.
allowing that inner child to come and be like, we're gonna have some freaking fun right now.
Right.
Versus taking everything so seriously.
Yes. To be able to play, to be able to dream, to be able to get in tune with that inner child. Final question. Do you have any non negotiables for your well being?
I have several non-negotiables for my well-being. And there's a reason why the word unapologetic is in the subtitle of my book. Because I'm not going to apologize for the times when I put myself first from a place of physical, mental, emotional health. Non-negotiable is my sleep. I turn into a pumpkin at 10 o'clock every night. No, you're not going to be tucked in. If it's 10:10, I love you. You'll be tucking me in. Non-negotiable for me to work out 4 times a week minimum. Non-negotiable for me to have my therapist. So I have a coach. Everybody needs a coach. The coaches need coaches. So I have my coach and I have my therapist. And it's just my space to verbally vomit and talk about everything that's on my mind and on my heart. That my husband, as fabulous and amazing as he is, doesn't want to hear about it. I don't want to dump it on friends, but just a space to just be me, authentically raw me. I love other things. I love biohacking. I love the infrared sauna. I love the cold plunge. Again, growth. I've got non-negotiables. I'm always going to grow in my mind and my heart.
Yep.
So I have quite a few actually, but I'll stop there.
What I'm taking away is it's okay to prioritize yourself and take what you need for yourself.
Boundaries. It's okay. I think sometimes moms are scared to put a boundary. They feel like they're failing as a mom if they don't put a boundary. No, my dear, it's the opposite. You're failing if you're not putting a boundary. And again, failing is just learning. Okay. I always got to remind people of that. And it is putting your mask on first.
Yes, I love it. And it's such a great way to end this conversation. Carrie, it has been such a pleasure having you on. I really enjoyed getting to know you. And I love how you showed up in this conversation. I can see how that translates into Career Frame. So thank you for just your transparency and helping us better understand you and your leadership style and just life philosophy is another way to say it too.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. If listeners want to keep going with you, whether if they want to work with you and or read more about your book, can you share your book one more time with everyone?
Yes. All In, A Working Mom's Unapologetic Quest for a Juicy Life. And it is on Amazon. Also, to connect with us, careerframe.com. There is a link to the book on careerframe.com as well. We have contact form if you want to connect to see how we could work together with you or your team. Please reach out. That comes directly to me, and then I will reach back out to you and find all the great stuff that we do with organizations. Follow me on Instagram. I tend to just point people more towards Authentically Me, which is CD Fabris on Instagram. We have Career Frame on Instagram. I'm not as active on that one. I'm just like, why don't you just see what I'm doing? Personal, professional, here it is. So CD Fabris on Instagram, and then LinkedIn. And if you connect with me, you can follow Career Frame on LinkedIn. If you want to connect with me, please let me know that you heard me on this podcast. And then I'm like, oh, okay, let's connect with this person. Yeah, any of those avenues.
Great. Sounds good. And we'll make sure that we link all of that in our show notes. And then lastly, Carrie is offering a complimentary leadership quiz called Discover Your Frame It Method Leadership Style. We will also link this quiz in our show notes. So thank you again, Carrie, for joining us. And lastly, to our listeners, if this episode resonated with you, subscribe on your preferred streaming platform so you never miss a conversation, and share this with one woman who needs to hear it. Every subscribe and every share helps the algorithm get the show in front of more women asking the same questions that we are. And remember to explore on your own terms, because nothing changes if nothing changes. And to our loyal listeners, these are my after show reflections. What I keep thinking about in this conversation with Carrie is the off-the-cuff comment she made about being busy and people who supposedly say that they thrive in being busy. She respectfully challenged if that's actually true, or if busyness is sometimes just a way to avoid those feelings with what's going on underneath. I completely agree with her. What I'm sitting with is I do feel busy, too busy, and I know I don't want to be, especially as I'm trying to make a big decision about what do I ultimately want to do next. I know that I need time and space to reflect and to really assess what I want, but it isn't as simple as just clearing your calendar, right? Because Carrie also just talked about naming and identifying her fear. And when I do that, my fear actually competes with the idea of taking on less. My biggest fear is that I'm going to run out of time. By time, I really need the financial runway to do this exploration. I that I'll get to the end of all of this and still not have clarity on what I want to do next. And that's why I've been working fast and furiously a lot of nights and weekends, because I know that clock is ticking. And yet, there's that other thing Carrie reminded us of, that life, the universe, source, whatever language you use, keeps putting things in front of you. You just have to be paying enough attention to notice. So that's exactly how The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron landed in my path, and why saying yes to a 12-week journey with this book feels like the next right step for me. The tools in The Artist's Way, like the morning pages and the artist dates, are designed to help clear mental clutter and reconnect you with your creative self so you can hear your own voice again. Personally, I'm really ready, and I know I need the morning pages. 3 pages longhand first thing in the morning every day. It's stream of consciousness brain dump, not good writing. And the whole point is to clear out the noise so you can see what you really think and feel. This is the tool I'm going to use for my private reflection. And to make sure I actually do it, I'm going to borrow Colleen's advice from last week's episode and write first thing when I wake up, meaning before my coffee, before I look at my phone. I'm also asking myself, if I don't want to be so busy, what can I pause, loosen, or let go of to create more space for this work? So here's what I'm going to try. First, I'm going to be less rigid with my workouts. This is never something I feel like I have to do. I've been doing it for so long that it's now just a habit to do something every day. Instead of showing up 6 days a week, I'm going to shift to 4 or 5 days and use the other days for those solo walks or artist dates. Second, with her intentional reset, this podcast has given me so much joy. I have big visions with this podcast, but I'm realizing I can't do everything alone. As I mentioned in the episode, I am actively looking for a partner, so I'll put this out there. And what I've also done is brought in help with socials. Shout out to Leah Tilstra from episode 9. She knew that I wanted help, so she introduced me to her daughter, Nora. Nora is in high school and has been just rocking, helping me with posting socials, and I'm really excited for us to expand her duties. So those are just a couple of steps I'm taking immediately to try to be, in air quotes here, less busy, so I can be a little bit more intentional with what do I really want to be doing. So if any of this resonated with you, the busyness, the fear, the quiet wondering of what if I never figure this out? And if you're curious about what we're actually doing with The Artist's Way and our 12-week creative cluster journey that I mentioned, launching that on June 15th, please listen to episode 12 for more details, or check out the details on socials and these show notes. You can find us on Instagram or Facebook at herintentionalreset.co. That's herintentionalreset.co. I'll see you there, and I'll see you next episode. Bye now.